So I had a bit of a rough day yesterday. Didn't feel like making a video, but you gotta get the good, the bad and the ugly, I guess, with these things. So I had an appointment with the oncology doctor last Thursday, and they want to start chemo treatment at the 8-week marker. So I think I was 5 weeks and 6 days after my operation when I saw him. With chemotherapy, there's a risk that it can impact your fertility, which is an important thing for me to be aware of, because I had 2 miscarriages last year, and that's, you know, Stacey and I want to have a family, so we got referred to the fertility clinic, and unbelievably they phoned me the next day and said they had a slot for me on Monday, only 2 or 3 days after, you know, we asked about it, just because of my circumstances. So Stacey and I went to see them yesterday, and they could have done it very quickly. I was able to have started the treatment basically today, and that will can take anything from 10 days up to 2 weeks for the eggs to be ready to be harvested, and then you got a day's the actual procedure, and then probably a day or so to rest afterwards. But the timelines didn't run in line with what my oncology doctor wants to do in terms of the chemotherapy, so we basically turned down the fertility treatment of freezing some embryos, which was hard for me personally. I also found out as part of that they did a couple of scans and things, so I found out I have a heart-shaped womb. So most women's wombs kind of, let me see if I can show you, kind of look like that, and then the eggs, the ovaries are here and here, and it's kind of like an upside down pyramid or a pear, I think they refer to it as. My womb is like a heart, so there's a bit in the middle, and that I've had that since birth seemingly. It's not hereditary, it's just when I was in my mother's womb, my womb didn't develop and the bit at the top didn't close, so unfortunately what that means is I am at a higher risk of miscarriage in having that abnormality. So it's been a hard 24 hours because I had 2 miscarriages last year, and I'm having to go through chemo, which increases the risk of fertility issues. And then I found out I had this womb abnormality, which also increases the risk. So it just means when all this is over, there might be implications for having a family. And then I'm a bit older, so the risk is higher anyway. So anyway, I decided over the last couple of years, when I'm having a tough day, I try and focus on helping other people, and it shifts my focus. So I had a lot of people in hospital help me when I stayed there, the nurses and support staff in wards 24, 52, and there were a couple of people. I was only in Ward 57 in the Western General kind of overnight for about 12 hours. So there were a handful of people in that ward that helped me. So I didn't want to feed them because I think a lot of people hand in chocolates and boxes of biscuits and stuff. And when I was in, I heard a lot of the nurses were on a health kick. It was January though, so maybe it was just that time of year. But anyway, I didn't want to feed them unhealthy stuff, so I made up these little packs with the face mask so they can chill, a nice Yankee candle, and a little Lindt chocolate, and written the ward, each of the wards, a card. So I decided, across the 2 wards that I was in for more than a couple of days, there were a number of staff that I worked with me to help my recovery, but I just decided to do a little pack for all the staff in the ward as a thank you. So I'll be making those up this morning, and the same for some randoms. My stoma nurse, she's got this, and she's got her pack here. My pain specialist Leslie, one of the days when I got moved from the high dependency ward to kind of the lower level one, they took me off morphine and the painkiller that I pushed the button, and they put a pain patch on me, but I had a really bad reaction to it from a sickness and nausea for a few hours, and then sickness, which is really horrible when your belly's all stitched up and you're still managing the pain from surgery. So Leslie figured out it was a bad reaction, and they took me off it and sorted me out with other pain medication. So and there's a few other people as well, and little Anne, got a wee pack for Anne Ewing. So I don't think I've mentioned this. One of the girls that was in Team Scotland cycling squad for Delhi Commonwealth Games, Anne Ewing. Anne's a doctor. She, I think, became qualified over 10 years ago, and I was in the track squad and Anne was in the road squad, so we only really had kind of social meals together as a group, because during the day we were doing our own specific training with the people that we would be racing with in our teams. But I've seen Anne on and off over the years, and when I got admitted into hospital in the Western General, Mo, the surgeon that's in one of Fadlow's teams, Fadlow's the head guy, so Mo sits under him. She was on night shift, bless her cotton socks, and she came to explain to me what the operation would entail in more detail, and that I would need a stoma and so on. And it came up that obviously she could tell from looking at me that I did sport and things, so it came up in conversation, and I mentioned I was a cyclist, and Mo said, oh, there's a girl in our team that's a cyclist, Anne Ewing. And I was like, Anne Ewing is in your team? Like, I couldn't believe it. I wasn't going to be able to see anyone that I knew for at least a week because of the COVID restrictions. And somebody from my past that I needed, even though I hadn't seen her for a few years, she happened to be in the same bloody surgical team. And Anne moves around to hospitals a lot because she's not picked her specialty. So for me to be in her team, in the team that was operating on me at that point in time, was kind of a bit of a weird coincidence. So the morning after my surgery, Anne came in to see me, which was the first time I'd seen her. And then she came to see me every day, either at the end of her night shift or the beginning. So I got a little pack of goodies for Anne here, just to say thank you. It would never be enough, because I can't repay the kindness that all the people gave me when I was in need of support medically. But hopefully these wee things will help them and give them a wee boost that day. So I'm just trying to concentrate on that stuff, because the other stuff with fertility and doing chemo and that next week, or starting it, there's nothing I can do about that. I just have to accept it and pray and hope that if it was meant to be, then we'll work it out when it's time to start trying for a family again. So that's me.